Hi, you're back at Certic's Tasting Table. I am Noelle Starr, and with me is Drew Fuller, and today we're going to be talking about red Zinfandel, which is a grape grown mostly in California, and we've got 3 different regions that we're going to taste from today, and I'm going to let you start with Mendocino.
Sounds good. Zin is fun for a whole host of reasons. I mean, a lot of people say, it's the American's grape, and that it was original to America, which is fun, and it certainly has a long history here, and is probably our most indigenous grape variety. It does have kind of deeper roots in Europe. It goes back to Croatia. I think they narrowed it down to 9 vines actually that survived phylloxera in the 1890s. So they've got about 115-year-old vines that still exist in Croatia. And here, however, in America, what's fun is we have vineyards that still produce that are significantly older, and that's many people aren't really aware of. You hear old vines when you see many of our Zinfandels. They'll have it on the label. And in this case, though, and for the most part, it's true.
There's no real legal holding to the term old vine, though, on a domestic label. So
correct.
Okay.
So it was misleading for a while, but kind of shame on them if they go down that path. It's, these, however, some of them that we'll taste today are from the 1860s. So very old vineyards produce really concentrated fruit and something truly unique, which is fun.
And so when you're tasting a Zinfandel, Drew, what are you looking for? What are the flavor profile that you should see?
Yeah, you get everything from at the simple end and maybe more affordable end. You're getting a lot of blackberry, I think richer, darker, smoother. Not a lot of tannin, not a lot of structure at that end of things. As you get up into the wines we're going to be tasting today, you get everything from red fruits like raspberry to, again, dark blackberry. You get significant amount of usually oak aging because these wines can support often American oak because it's a little more aggressive fruit and therefore can take the more aggressive American oak spice that it will have. So those are the main things you get. Along with some nice herbs, you'll get usually some licorice notes, things like that.
All right. So in front of us is Artezin. This is the first one we'll be tasting.
Right. So this is a fun Mendocino. In general, it's extremely. It's probably you don't see as many Zins from Mendocino, both in our shelves and in general. If you're looking at acreage that's planted, but they're very distinctive. You get maybe slightly lighter profile, maybe a little bit more elegant red fruits. But let's taste it.
That's delicious.
That's very nice. In this case, though, I think you still do get some certainly richness.
But I wouldn't call it jammy. And I think sometimes that's a word that's associated a lot with Zinfandel, is a jammy style. And I would say this completely misses that, which is great. So this would be maybe more of a food-friendly wine.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, something like certainly ribs. But it's versatile. I mean, pasta, burgers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But very nicely done.
And so now, in comparison to that, we're going to move over to the Lodi region, which I'll let you talk about. And this what we're going to be having is Windmill?
Windmill.
Okay.
And both of these, and even Artezin to a certain extent. The other thing you'll often hear is a lot of them was the Italian immigrants that came over in the kind of 40s to the 1880s. There was many Italian families, winemaking families, moved to the either Lodi, Mendocino, those areas, and they planted their grapes usually intermix, so they call it an Italian field peasant blend, and it would be Carignan, Grenache, Zin, all intermingled,
growing together in one vineyard.
And mostly they've separated that out, so now that you can farm them and harvest them appropriately, as they do ripen differently. But this one was 100 and I think it's now 6 generations in the 1860s.
Wow.
Great grandfather immigrated from Italy. And
the Windmill label actually does state old vine.
It does.
Which it is.
Yep.
Okay.
And Lodi, you just get some not intense. You get a lot of heat during the day, but you also get some nice cool nights and breezes, which are critical for Zinfandel. Because it's the most. This is very thin-skinned grape, and most susceptible to either rot if it's not farmed very carefully.
Okay. And if you look at the two together, Artezin is very red and brickish in color, and then you get this very dark, almost purpley black So definitely a distinction there between these two styles. All right, so this is our Windmill.
And even with this being from 2010, so it has a little longer.
Well, very like rich and a little bit of pepper on the end.
Yeah, definitely pepper spice. It's I think it's a longer finish.
Yep.
A little more sustained.
Yep.
Bigger wine.
Definitely.
And well, yeah, that's very nice.
That's very nice. I could see this totally going with anything barbecued.
Yeah, barbecued steaks. This is kind of the zone of that big rich Zin, without being, but still balanced and nice acidity.
They call it a teeth stainer, though, and you can see why as this just drips down the glass. It's certainly in there.
Without doubt.
All right, so our last Zinfandel we're going to have is from Dry Creek.
Yes, our Peterson. And this is fun. This is always kind of near and dear to those of us at Certix. Fred Peterson's wines aren't found everywhere, certainly. But I think we're one of the only retail places you can get in the
Minnesota,
country.
we are the only,
Yeah, he does a lot of on-premise. But this with Dry Creek, it's just his wines almost have a Bordeaux complexity to me. I mean, he's a great kind of craftsman. He enjoys playing with unique varietals. In this case, he does have a little Petit Syrah and Carignan to add complexity and different components to the wine. And he often does that.
And can we touch on that for a minute? I think it's important to note that this bottle can be labeled Zinfandel in the United States because more than 75% of the wine is made up of one solid Zinfandel varietal.
Yes.
Anything else can be blended in, and they don't have to designate that anywhere on the label, but he gives you detail of what is being made in this.
Yeah, and I think that's, from his sensibility of wine, I think he wants people to know that this is maybe a cut above. It's only 1,100 cases produced for this Zin, so it's not mass produced, and he's all about each vintage, whatever Mother Nature provides. He is going to alter that to hopefully give, not necessarily a house style, because each vintage is different with Peterson, but the best that year can give, and that may be a different varietal mix next year.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, this is definitely spicy on the nose.
Yeah, much more complex on the nose. You have a little tobacco, a little
bit of licorice.
Yep.
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, his wines, and I think one of the things, both aromatics and then the level of brightness and acidity that comes through, it keeps, kind of makes you want to have another sip.
Absolutely.
And another.
Absolutely.
So it's, Fred's grinds are great, and that's a good cross-section of different styles of Zin.
All right, well, there you have it. Zinfandels from across California, certainly at all different price points on our shelf. You can find all that we have of Zinfandel in aisle 6. Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.